Today is going to be a special one. We're going to be recreating Johan Cruyff's total football tactic. It's a big challenge in FM, but we've done it very well. This tactic averaged 65% of the ball, went invincible, and scored a ton of goals. Attack, attack, attack. Let's get right into it and waste no more time. We're going to start things off with the results today, and we are going to kick things off with Barcelona in one of the best seasons I've ever had with them. 35 wins and only 3 draws coming against Real Madrid, Vigo, and Bilbao. Nearly the perfect season. Well, it is technically. We go invincible, pick up over 100 points in the season, and 105 goal difference. Robert Lewandowski with 61 goals. Ferran Torres picking up a 7.86 highest average rating and also picking up the most assists at 30, and ter Stegen picking up a 97% pass completion. 127 goals scored in the league and only 22 goals conceded, and discipline wise we were really impressive. The best at picking up yellow cards, as in the less, and also picking up 0 red cards. And if that's not enough for you guys, we also do the quadruple. Champions League against FC Bayern, a very tough final that was, the Spanish First Division against everyone, the Spanish Cup against Madrid, and the Spanish Super Cup against Madrid. We've done the treble over Madrid alone, the quadruple over everyone. Stat-wise, I'm going to show you that there are a lot of good stats to talk about. It is going to be the most points per game at 2.84, the most goals at 127, the most shots at over 690, by the way, 697, but of course, we are here for the possession. 64% is such a dominant figure in this Spanish league. Really good stat to have, and because this tactic does shape up in a very unique way. It shapes up as a 3-4-3, but obviously sometimes it goes into a 4-2-3-1. Other formations as well, it transforms so easily because of the way we've set it up. It is really total football. We also have the fewest conceded and also tied with the most clean sheets, which I am surprised about considering how attacking this actually is in game. To hub-wise though is going to look very appealing. 3.34 goals per game to be exact, only 0.58 conceded, over 18 shots every single game, and 90% pass completion, which I'm sure he'd love to hear, and a tackle win ratio of 81.56. So I'm going to slow the highlights down so you can really appreciate the football in this one, as you are seeing some lovely football. Just look at the options that are available, man. By far one of the most fun tactics you can ever play with in FM, and we took the game to Madrid and we deserved the final. We really, I mean, look at that for a finish from Rafinha, to be fair to him. We really did deserve this final, and just the play we were doing, just look at the movement from the players. It's really good to see. Balde obviously down the left-hand side. He's going to cut it across into the box. Rudiger fails to clear it. João Felix recovers back into the box, into Lewandowski. He's never going to miss that. Again, a few more goals from this Barcelona team to really appreciate the way we are playing. This is going to be I think that's a semi-final second leg against Feyenoord in a 6-0 win, a 7-1 win overall over both legs. And just to appreciate how the goals are actually going to form, the movement from the players, what you can expect to see from your players as well. And I will say this tactic, every total football tactic, you do need good players to play with, in my opinion, to really get the best of it. You could try this in lower leagues, but it is designed obviously for the likes of Barcelona, your Ajaxes, some of the real big teams in the game. And look at that for a ball in. Not only some great press from Ferran Torres, but a peach ball backstick into Rafinha, who had a very good season. Winning the ball back now into João Felix, who's going to drive at the back line, taking on everyone. Again, simple football on this occasion, through to Rafinha, and it looks like here we're actually going to score 4 goals in the first half. And just look at the movement, look at the plays, look where they're going to be situated. It's so fluid, they're constantly going to be changing. It's really good to see and very fun to play with, as Rafinha cuts it back and sort of gets João Felix a goal on this occasion. He's been getting all of them, so nice to see Felix obviously contribute with a goal as well, as João Felix now turns to the assister into Lewandowski, plays it through into Rafinha, who had, again, one of the best seasons I've ever seen from him in FM, sticks it past Bilbao in goal, and really, we at this point, we absolutely were cooking them, and one last goal for a little bit of fun. This is going to be the second team you probably think of when you think of Johan Cruyff, or the first for some. That is going to be Ajax. Now, with this team, we enjoyed a very good season, not an invincible season. We did win 31 out of the potential 34 games played. Brian Broby picking up 32 goals across all competitions. Steven Berghaus coming in with a 7.81 highest average rating, also picking up the joint amount of assists with Booman, both with 22. I guess that is really Booman. Jay Gorsa, I regret that joke massively. Jay Gorsa with a 98% pass completion, 124 goals scored in the league, and only 20 goals conceded. Discipline-wise, we weren't as good as what we were with Barcelona, but it clearly didn't affect too much, as we also do win the Dutch Cup there. So it is going to be a double winning season with this Ajax team, who in real life, it's a bit of a struggle, and I think even in the game, they are predicted to finish 3rd. And now team stat-wise, we are going to be very dominant, as you would expect. 2.76 goals per game, most goals at 124, not the most shots, but possession-wise, we were absolutely ridiculous. 66%, so overall an average, as you're going to see on the thumbnail, is 65, but the highest was 66. Fewest conceded at 20, and also the most clean sheets coming in at 19. Data hub-wise, again, as you can expect, 3.6 goals every single game, only 0.59 conceded, a mixture of probably more being on the ball than how good we are defensively. When you're having 66% of the ball, the other team aren't going to have a chance to score. Over 17 shots, nearly 18 shots every single game, a 78% tackle win ratio, and even the pass completion is in the 90s. We're doing everything so well. A very strong team in PSV Eindhoven. Well, not very strong in our eyes, as we do beat them 4-0. And again, it's going to be very similar. The quality of play, the movement from the players can transition to a team, obviously, like Ajax in their current state as well. Great 1-2 passing, and yeah, you're going to want to get this tactic, I think, because when you're playing football like that, it's quite hard to turn down. Steven Bergwijn loses it, but Taylor does win it back. He's going to go down the left-hand side, drive it back. Across goes alone, actually. A bit surprising, sticks it into the top right-hand corner. And one more goal very late on into this tie. Bergwijn plays it down the left-hand side. He's going to ball across. That is a very interesting ball. And Akpon's there to pick up the scraps. Lastly, it was more out of interest. I wanted to see how this works in the Premier League. So I went to Man City because they're probably the best team to try and replicate this sort of play with. And we enjoyed a very good season. 33 wins, 3 draws and only 2 losses. Goal difference of 108, 102 points to be exact. Erling Haaland doing Erling Haaland things for 84 goals. Bernardo Silva, a 7.8 match rating. De Bruyne with 46 assists. Now, he can play a variety of roles in this team because there are so many attacking options. 133 goals scored, only 25 goals conceded, and we go back to 0 red cards. And we also win 5 trophies. The Super Cup against Sevilla, the Premier League against everyone, the FA Cup against Tottenham, the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, the Community Shield against Arsenal. Now, we could have done the perfect 6 out of 6 sweep, but obviously I do test all on the same platform, so as you can see here, you can see it quite obviously, we knocked ourselves out with Barcelona, so clearly Barcelona just about edged Man City. Team stat wise, we are going to feature in almost all of them. The most points per game at 2.68, the most goals at 133, clear of Manchester United, the most shots, the fewest shots against, possession wise 65%, so very, very good to see. I believe that is now 64, 65 and 66. If we tested with a 4th team, maybe 67. Who knows? The fewest conceded at 25 and the most clean sheets at 17. Honestly, ridiculous. And data hub wise, again, it's going to be bang on 3.5 goals every single game, 0.66 conceded, so still very, very good. I believe that's the highest we've conceded, but still a very good defensive record. 19 shots a game, or 19.6 to be exact, a pass completion of 89.4 and a tackle win ratio of 78.63. And this is how you wrap up a final inside of 30 minutes, as we done against Tottenham. De Bruyne down the left-hand side with one of the best balls he could potentially have played. A great header from Nunes there at the back stick, and a set piece gets the job done just before the 30th minute. Tottenham, what happened? Right, now over to the tactic breakdown. If you're enjoying, be sure to leave a like, and I want to quickly thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. These are going to be new or existing Patreon members. There's over 10 perks for joining the Patreon, including access to all 3 of the tactics today in one simple download. You're going to get the tactics early by quite some distance as well. You also get priority in the tactic and the rebuild requests. You get one-on-one tactical help. I make tactics for you, and also you get access to the monthly giveaway and much more. So come over, check it out. The link is going to be in the description. You will not regret it. But let's go over this very unique looking Cruyff tactic. So it shapes up as a 3-4-3, to be honest with you, but it is going to be a little bit different. So what I will say about this is, don't let the shape worry you, because in game, as we saw in the highlights, it does look very, very differently, I will say that. But the goalkeeper is going to be a sweeper keeper on defend, simply on the default. A wide centre-back on the right, simply on the default. On the left, that is going to be exactly the same. So nice and simple so far. In the middle, you could go with a ball-playing defender, but I personally favour the libero on defend, who obviously will be on hold position. And these wide centre-backs cannot be changed with ball-playing defenders, because they do provide the width in this team to obviously make the shape become a very different looking one to what we are going to be seeing on the screen right now. So if you're going to change anything, do not change these wide centre-backs, because it will not work. Going over to the midfield is going to be the deep-lying playmaker, a very important role in this team, on defend but on take more risks. I basically want him to sit deep and be the one picking out the passes, because there's so much movement going on, so many good runs. We want one player dedicated to picking out all these good passes. The box-to-box on the right is simply going to be on support, roaming from position, getting into all different sorts of spaces, just being an absolute nightmare to mark, basically. Next to him is going to be the Mazzala on attack. Again, he is going to be on default, and that is because he already has every single instruction I would want him to do, taking risks, getting further forwards, moving into the channels, roaming about. Again, just being an absolute nightmare, really. On the left-hand side is going to be the winger on support, on cut inside. We saw that a lot in the match highlights. Very important. He's going to be cut inside on that left-hand side. And on the right exactly the same because the movement is going to be absolutely crazy in this team. In the midfield, or the shadow striker, the most attacking player, is going to be, again, simply on the default. No, I've not forgot to add instructions. It's because it's all you need. Again, going to be doing a very similar sort of role to the Mazzala, being a nuisance, getting into different areas, moving into different channels, and it works really, really well, as we saw in them highlights. And the advanced forward is simply going to be the goal scorer, the Lewandowski of the team, if you so will. On attack, simply on moving to channels. All based off a custom clean slate on the positive mentality, we are now going to talk about this team. So it is going to be fairly wide when it comes to the attack and width. That is very, very important because it's actually quite a narrow system if you don't have this selected. So definitely have that on. The directness is going to be set to shorter. The tempo is going to be maxed out to higher, which I think I've got right. Let me know if anyone disagrees in the comments though. I do try my best. Be more expressive in the creative freedom. That is definitely going to be selected. Work ball into the box. Very high quality chances, and the final third is going to be set to low crosses. In transition, it's going to be very, very simple, to be honest with you. We're going to counter press. You can see here, get a rough indicator of who is going to be doing the counter pressing. We're going to counter attack, and because we've got 3 of them, we're going to distribute the ball to the centre backs. And lastly, out of possession, and definitely a lot to talk about, it is going to be the high press line of engagement, not the standard, not the higher, but the much higher defensive line. Again, very attacking way of playing football. Again, Johan Cruyff was all about the attacking side of the game, outscore the opposition, and just play very entertaining football. We're going to trap the ball outside, and we are also going to go more often on that trigger press. Over to the attacking variant. I've tweaked it slightly for you guys that maybe do need a goal in the game desperately, so we're going to get right into it and waste no more time. The goalkeeper is going to be the sweeper keeper, simply on the default instructions. The back 3 are going to remain exactly the same, apart from the libero, who does remain in that defensive duty, but he is going to be told to dribble more, get more involved in the team, and just really, you know, take this team from a very good attacking team to a maxed out attacking side. The deep line playmaker is going to remain exactly the same because his job is very, very simple. The box to box is going to be the same, but with a couple more instructions. So obviously still on support, on dribble more, get further forwards, and also move into channels. So what we've done here is we've taken a box-to-box who obviously was roaming about anyway, but now he's going to be a lot more attacker-minded and almost going to fill in here, and it would play almost like a 4-1-4-1. So this tactic is going to shape up very, very differently. It really will in the game. You'll notice it a lot when you're playing. Like, hang on, this is like a 4-2-3-1, sorry. And it does do it very well. So it isn't going to be just what you see on the screen. So total football's not for everyone, but for those of you that understand it, you're going to love it. The Mazzala is going to be also in the team on attack, on dribble more, so only 1 additional instruction. The winger on the left is now going to be on attack, on cut inside, as is the right-hand side of winger 2. The midfield, the shadow striker, is going to remain the same because he doesn't really need anything else on them, and the advanced forward also is going to remain unchanged. So again, we've taken this same sort of system of play in total football, but just made it maxed out attacking. So again, I wouldn't recommend going into games like it, but if you need to chase a game, you need a goal desperately, 100% use it. It's why you should get all 3. To the team instructions, again, based off the clean slate on the positive mentality, we're going to kick things off right away by setting the attack and width to wide. We're going to completely max it out and go all the way out. In terms of the directness, we are going to keep it 2 shorter. Nothing here gets added because we don't want to affect the way this tactic plays too much. The tempo is still going to obviously be on higher. There's no reason to lower that when you're trying to chase a game. Being more expressive is also going to be selected. Now, this is optional. This isn't low crosses is needed, but work ball into the box I've kept on. Now, if you are really desperate, and I'm talking the last 2-3 minutes of the game, you could take this off, and obviously your players are going to have shots from outside the box, not be as focused to get it into the box, but I'll leave that up to you. It's very, very situational. So as a rule, I'd keep it on. Transition, very simple, but very effective. We're going to counter press, we're going to counter. Of course, we are attacking, so we're going to distribute the ball quickly, and we're going to remain unchanged by going with distribute to the centre backs, because still, we've got 3. And out of possession is going to look very similar to the default variant. The high press and line of engagement, of course, the much higher line is going to remain. We're going to trap outside, and we're going to max out that trigger press. Now over to a much more composed variant for those of you playing the smaller teams or trying to hold a lead. Now, this is going to play exactly the same sort of total football vibe, but it's probably a lot more possession orientated, and also is not going to score as many goals. But again, you're probably going to get into the 70% when it comes to the possession. So a much more calmer approach. So the goalkeeper remains unchanged. Both of the wide centre backs remain unchanged, but of course, Of course, feast your eyes on this. A ball-playing defender instead of that libero, a much more of a defensive role on the cover as well, so going to sit a little bit deeper compared to them wide centre-backs as well. And that's just much more of a risk-free option, very good if you're playing as a smaller team, or again, if you are trying to hold on to a lead. A DM comes in instead of the deep-line playmaker, and he is going to be on defend, on tackle harder, and also mark tighter, alongside of the shoot less often, dribble less, and hold position. The box-to-box comes back into the team as per, but again, stripped of the instructions, back to very basics, simply on the default. A central midfield player comes in on support, just to pick up the ball, move about, play it side to side, on pass it shorter, take fewer risks, and also shoot less often. The winger on the left and also the right are going to remain unchanged because they are by far probably the most important positions in the team in terms of replicating this. You can't really change them to different roles in my opinion. The attacking midfield player comes in on support, again on pass it shorter, and the advanced forward is simply going to be on attack. So quite straightforward. Team instructions is going to be on the balance mentality, again on the clean slate. That does never change. The attack and width is going to be set to fairly wide. Again, you can't really lower it from that because the tactic simply does not work. This remains blank. All this remains blank. Directness is going to set down to much shorter on this occasion. The tempo is also going to be slightly lower. Dribble less. We're still going to have the low crosses and also the work ball into the box. So this is going to be a very possession orientated way of playing football. So please make sure you've got players that can suit the system. Transition is going to be very simple. In fact, I think the least amount of instructions I personally selected ever in a tactic video. Counter press and simply play to the centre-backs because we don't really want to be a counter-attacking team. We just want to hold on to the ball. Lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with that high press line of engagement. You can't play a standard line with this system. Has to be a higher or much higher, so we are going to go with a higher line, a little bit more defensively, obviously compared to that much higher line. The trigger press is going to be set to more often, and of course we need it, the trap outside, because it simply gets the tactic cooking. And that's going to give you guys 3 variants of Cruyff's Total Football recreated for your enjoyment. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video, and I'll see you in the next one.